two on the court?
Good. I like that. I like playing with C. I like
you.
playing.
Thank God.
Shut up, dude. I think that C is an aggressor. I think AB is an aggressor. I think Kelsey's an aggressor. When you have three elite players like that who all can, dominate a game and take over a game, it's really just up to you. So when you get the ball, you can do what you do. But I think that you just have to have a feel for the game. Sometimes the energy is low, so you have to go out there and kind of be the aggressor and bring the energy up. But when they already have it, you just got to, slide right in and don't let the game drop, holy stuff. Drop the energy. And so when I was out there, I just did the best I could.
What's going on, YouTube? This is RM Run, coming back with another one. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever just beat the Connecticut Sun. And in the post-game presser, Caitlin Clark went off on a referee for a ridiculous delay of game call that had absolutely no business being made at that point in the game. Then we're going to talk about Sophie Cunningham breaking down exactly what she brings to this Fever roster and how she and Caitlin Clark are feeding off each other's energy in a way that is genuinely dangerous for this league. After that, we're going to get into Caitlin Clark herself, breaking down the Suns' defensive game plan. Because she came in prepared, she watched the film, and she told you exactly how she was going to attack it. And finally, we're going to address the media speculation and the so-called drama narrative that certain people on social media keep trying to manufacture around this Fever team, and Caitlin Clark shut that whole thing down at the podium. We're going to cover all that in this video, so let's get to it.
I would say it's pretty much what I expected for the most part. Like, they're aggressive. I think their guards are really good defenders. They're long, they're athletic. Whether it's Rivers, whether it's Lacan, like I expected those two to be on me most of the time. And then honestly, just from film from last year, I didn't really know who would red or trap as much because that was Charles more. So last year it felt like Nelson Adoda was the one that was applying more pressure out of the ball screen. So anytime we could get anybody else in action was kind of our main goal. And Nelson Adoda's long and athletic, so sometimes it's hard to kind of get around her hip too. But nothing I didn't expect. And they're a good defensive team, and Lacan's going to try to wear you out. She's going to pick up full. She's going to pick up 94 feet. So you saw AB bring the ball up a lot. Was trying to initiate a lot of our offense. I thought we could have probably taken care of the ball a little bit better, specifically me. And sometimes I felt like we were running our offense so high up at half court that we weren't really able to get an advantage right away. And but overall, I would say it's pretty similar to what I expected.
So once again, as I said before, the Indiana Fever just took care of business against the Connecticut Sun, and the post-game press conference had some real moments in it. But before we get into the clips, I want to set the table for you guys because I think there's a bigger story happening here that people are sleeping on. This Fever team is growing. They are genuinely growing in real time, and you can see it in how Caitlin Clark talks about the game after the final buzzer. She is not satisfied with just winning. She is dissecting every mistake, every possession, every moment where the energy dipped, and she is holding herself accountable first. That is a franchise player mentality. That is what a leader looks like. And I made a video earlier this week breaking down the Fever's overall trajectory this season, and you guys can go back and check that out because everything I said in that video is playing out right now in front of our eyes. Now let me get into topic 1, which is Sophie Cunningham and the energy she brings to this team. Because the reporter at this press conference asked a really good question about the dynamic between Sophie and Caitlin on the court, about how Sophie was the one who kind of put the dagger on the game and carried the Fever home down the stretch. And Sophie's answer, man. Sophie Cunningham, Indiana Fever guard and one of the most underrated toughness players in the WNBA, explained exactly what her role is on this team and how she reads the energy of the game. I'm going to play the clip right now and let you guys hear it for yourselves. Then I'll give you my thoughts after.
The technical, I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler wanted to assert himself into the game, and that was ridiculous. So just not a point in the game he needed to call that. I went and got the ball, went off my foot off the scores table, and then he gave us a delay of game, which is a team technical foul. So you can ask Tyler, I don't.
So once again, as I said before, that right there is exactly why Sophie Cunningham is such a valuable piece on this Fever roster. Real talk, what she just described is not something every player can do. She said, when they already have it, you just gotta slide right in and don't let the game fall. That is a player who understands her role completely. That is a player who has zero ego about who is scoring and who is getting the attention. She knows that Caitlin Clark is an aggressor. She knows that Aaliyah Boston is an aggressor. She knows that Kelsey Mitchell is an aggressor. And instead of fighting for the spotlight, Sophie reads the room, and when the moment calls for her to step up and be the one who closes the game out, she does exactly that. And you guys already know I have been saying for a while now that the Fever's depth is what's going to separate them as the season goes on. It's not just about Caitlin Clark, although obviously Caitlin is the engine of this whole operation. It is about the supporting cast understanding their identity. And Sophie Cunningham just told you on the record that she gets it. She gets it completely. Now look, I want to make sure we give Sophie her full credit here, because the discourse around this Fever team sometimes gets so focused on Caitlin, which is understandable. She is the face of the franchise and honestly one of the faces of the entire sport right now. But Sophie Cunningham came in, hit the dagger, and carried them home down the stretch. The reporter literally said it was Sophie who let them home the rest of the way. That is not a coincidence. That is a player who has been in this league long enough to know exactly when to turn it on. My apology, man. I just get so passionate when I see a player getting overlooked because the star on the team is so bright. Sophie Cunningham deserves her flowers, and I'm going to make sure this channel gives them to her. The verdict on topic 1. Sophie Cunningham is not just a toughness piece, she is a closer. And this Fever team is better with her on the floor at the end of games.
But it seemed like maybe there might have been a situation on the sideline at one point between you two. And it's funny because even after that fact, you're the leading scorer on the team. So, and then there's...
Today?
Huh?
Today?
Yeah, maybe you scored like some...
Oh, okay.
She put the dagger, but you had...
But what sideline interaction? I'm confused.
The point I'm making is that there's reports that it's like the team, there's a division in the team.
Ah, no,
so
we're...
clearly when you see on the court... And
we're on a 3-game winning streak. We're doing good.
It's far from that.
Damn
so,
right.
I mean, if y'all want to address it, I mean, clearly the stats in the play tell it all, but
yeah, I think our
if you
play.
guys want to address it, please do.
I don't know if there are reports as much as
I think it's speculation.
I think
opinions.
It's,
I don't know about reports.
I think you're talking about. I don't think you're talking about journalism. And so if we're going to continue to create news from fans on social media or bots on social media or whatever it may be, then that's a problem, right? I think legitimate news sources need to report legitimate news.
Ooh, I like that.
Facts,
Period. That's all we got.
Now let's get into topic 2. Because this is where Caitlin Clark showed you something that I think separates her from 99% of players in this league. After the win, after already putting in a double-digit performance and helping her team win by 10 points, Caitlin Clark sat down at that podium and gave you a full film breakdown of how the Connecticut Sun tried to defend her. Not a general answer, not they played hard. A full breakdown, named names, talked about specific defenders, talked about ball screen coverage, talked about where she thought the Fever could have done better offensively. I broke this down on a previous video where I talked about Caitlin Clark's basketball IQ and how it translates to the way she processes games. Go back and check that out if you missed it. But this press conference just gave us even more receipts. Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever point guard, and the most impactful player in WNBA history in terms of growing the sport, walked through the Suns' defensive scheme like she was a coach reviewing film. Let me play this clip right now.
Good. I like that. I like playing with C. I like playing.
Thank God.
Shut up, dude. I think that C is an aggressor. I think AB is an aggressor. I think Kelsey's an aggressor. When you have 3 elite players like that who all can, dominate a game and take over a game, it's really just up to you. So when you get the ball, you can do what you do. But I think that you just have to have a feel for the game. Sometimes the energy is low, so you have to go out there and kind of be the aggressor and bring the energy up. But when they already have it, you just got to, slide right in and don't let the game fall out or drop. Holy stuff. Drop the energy. And so when I was out there, I just did the best I could.
My thoughts on that? Man, where do I even start? Listen, man, Caitlin Clark just named individual defenders by name. She talked about Rivers. She talked about Dejanai Carrington. She talked about Nelson Ogwumike. And she noted that Nelson Ogwumike is long and athletic and was applying pressure out of ball screens in a way that was different from what the Sun were running last year. She had film from last year, she compared it to this year, she identified the adjustment the Sun made, and then she still found a way to win the game. You guys, that is not normal. That level of preparation, coming into a road game, knowing exactly how the opposing guards are going to guard you, knowing who is going to pick you up full court, knowing who is going to trap out of ball screens, that is elite level preparation. And then she held herself accountable on top of it. She said, I thought we could have probably taken care of the ball a little bit better, specifically me. She put her own name on the self-critique. She did not deflect. She did not blame teammates. She said specifically me. Now look, the people who have been out here trying to downplay Caitlin Clark's basketball intelligence, and you guys know exactly who I'm talking about, because this goes back to what I was talking about last week, with the narrative that certain corners of the media keep trying to push about whether Caitlin Clark is truly a great basketball player or just a marketing phenomenon. This clip right here is your answer. She is a student of the game at the highest level. She watches film, she processes it, she applies it in real time, and then she can articulate it back to you at the podium after the game is over. At the end of the day, the verdict on topic 2 is simple. Caitlin Clark is not just a scorer, she is a complete basketball mind, and the Sun threw everything at her and she still won the game by 10. Case closed.
I would say it's pretty much what I expected for the most part. Like, they're aggressive. I think their guards are really good defenders. They're long, they're athletic. Whether it's Rivers, whether it's the Con, like, I expected those two to be on me most of the time. And then honestly, just from like film from last year, I didn't really know who would red or trap as much because that was Charles more. So last year it felt like Nelson Adoda was the one that was applying more pressure out of the ball screen. So anytime we could get anybody else in action was kind of our main goal. And Nelson Adoda's long and athletic, so sometimes it's hard to kind of get around her hip too. But nothing I didn't expect. And they're a good defensive team, and LeCon's going to try to wear you out. She's going to pick up full. She's going to pick up 94 feet. So you saw AB bring the ball up a lot. Was trying to initiate a lot of our offense. I thought we could have probably taken care of the ball a little bit better, specifically me. And sometimes I felt like we were running our offense so high up at half court that we weren't really able to get an advantage right away. And but overall, I would say it's pretty similar to what I expected.
Now this is where it gets real. Topic 3. Because this is the moment in the press conference that I know you guys have already seen on social media, and I want to make sure we give it the full treatment it deserves. Caitlin Clark got hit with a technical foul near the end of the game, and when the reporter asked her about it at the podium, she did not dodge the question. She did not give you the diplomatic non-answer. She told you exactly what happened and exactly how she felt about it. Now I want to be clear. Caitlin Clark said herself that she deserved the technical. She said, "I deserved it, but it was worth it." So this is not a situation where I am saying the referee was wrong to give her the technical for the reaction she had. What I am saying is that the underlying call, the delay of game call that triggered the whole sequence, was a bad call. And Caitlin Clark said it plainly. She said the delay of game made no sense. She said it felt like the referee wanted to assert himself into the game. And she said that was not a point in the game where that call needed to be made. I'm going to let you hear this directly from Caitlin Clark because her exact words matter here.
The technical, I didn't need an explanation. I deserved it, but it was worth it. The delay of game made no sense. It felt like Tyler wanted to assert himself into the game, and that was ridiculous. So just not a point in the game he needed to call that. I went and got the ball, went off my foot off the scores table, and then he gave us a delay of game, which is a team technical foul. So you can ask Tyler, I don't.
So once again, as I said before, she said, "I deserved it, but it was worth it." Now I love that answer. I love that answer because it is honest and it is accountable at the same time. She is not trying to get the referee in trouble. She is not filing a complaint. She accepted the consequence of her reaction, but she also told you the truth. The delay of game call that started the whole thing was unnecessary. She went and got the ball, it went off her foot near the scorer's table, and the referee called a team technical foul for delay of game. In the closing minutes of a game, the Fever were winning. That is a call that should not be made in that moment. And you know what this irks my nerves about? It is the pattern. It is the ongoing pattern of Caitlin Clark being in situations where the officiating or the physical play or the outside noise is consistently making her life harder on the court. And every single time she handles it. Every single time she takes the accountability for her own reaction, she moves on and the Fever find a way to win. She said it herself, they executed out of the timeout, Sophie came in and closed the game and the defense was good down the stretch. Let me step back for a second and talk to you guys about why this matters beyond just this one game. When you have the most watched player in your league, when you have a player who is filling arenas and driving television ratings and bringing new fans to your sport, you have a responsibility as a league to make sure the officiating around that player is consistent and fair, not favorable, fair. And a delay of game team technical foul in the closing minutes of a game, on a play where the ball went off a player's foot near the scorer's table, is not a call that should be made. That is not me being a homer for Caitlin Clark. That is just basketball common sense. The verdict on topic 3, Caitlin Clark handled it with class, took the accountability, and the Fever still won. But the referee in question, and she named him, she called him Tyler, needs to look at that call on film and ask himself if that was the right moment to insert himself into the game. Because the answer is no.
But it seemed like maybe there might have been a situation on the sideline at one point between you two. And it's funny because even after that fact, you're the leading scorer on the team. So, and then there's...
Today? Today?
Yeah, maybe you scored like some...
Oh, okay.
She put the dagger, but you had...
But what sideline interaction? I'm confused.
The point I'm making is that there's reports that it's like the team, there's a division in the team.
Ah, no,
so
we're...
clearly when you see on the court...
We're on a 3-game winning streak. We're doing good.
It's far from that.
Damn
so,
right.
I mean, if y'all want to address it, I mean, clearly the stats and the play tell it all, but
yeah, I think our
if you
play.
guys want to address it, please do.
I don't know if there are reports as much as
I think it's speculation.
I think
Opinions.
It's
I don't know about reports.
I think you're talking about. I don't think you're talking about journalism. And so if we're going to continue to create news from fans on social media or bots on social media or whatever it may be, then that's a problem, right? I think legitimate news sources need to report legitimate news.
Ooh, I like that.
Facts,
Period. That's all we got.
All right, topic 4. And this one is important because it ties together everything we have been talking about on this channel for the past several weeks. There were questions being floated on social media, and I want to be careful here because Caitlin Clark herself made a very important distinction at this press conference about what is a report versus what is speculation versus what is just opinions from fans and bots on social media. But there were questions being raised about whether there was some kind of tension or division within the Fever roster, whether there was a side situation happening, whether the team was fractured in some way. And at this press conference, Caitlin Clark addressed it. She addressed it directly. And what she said was one of the most clear-headed, well-articulated responses to media noise that I have heard from any athlete in a long time. I made a video a few days ago where I talked about how Caitlin Clark handles the media circus around her better than most veterans in the sport. And this press conference just added another chapter to that story. Let me play the clip. My thoughts on that. Listen, man, I don't know if there are reports. I think speculation. I think opinions. I don't know about reports. I don't think you're talking about journalism. That is one of the most precise and devastating things you can say to a reporter who is asking you about social media noise dressed up as news. She drew a line. She said, if you are going to continue to create news from fans on social media or bots on social media, that is a problem. Legitimate news sources need to report legitimate news. You guys, that is a 23-year-old woman in her second WNBA season drawing a clear distinction between journalism and social media speculation at a post-game press conference. That is not something most veterans know how to do. That is not something most coaches know how to do. And she did it calmly, clearly, and without throwing anyone under the bus. Now look, I want to address the people who have been watching this channel who might be asking, but what about the tension? Was there really something there? And I am going to be honest with you guys the same way I always am on this channel. The stats and the play tell the story. The Fever won the game. Sophie Cunningham said at the same press conference that she loves playing with Caitlin Clark. She said it with enthusiasm. She said it with a smile. And Caitlin Clark said they executed. Sophie carried them home, and the defense was good down the stretch. That is not a team with a chemistry problem. That is a team that is still growing and learning how to sustain leads and close games out, but a team that is absolutely moving in the right direction. Real talk, the narrative about Fever drama is being driven by people who either want clicks or who genuinely do not want this team to succeed. And I have been saying that for weeks on this channel. This goes back to what I was talking about before about the way certain corners of the media and social media treat Caitlin Clark and the Fever differently than they treat other teams. The standard is different, the scrutiny is different, and every time they look for a crack in the foundation, Caitlin Clark comes to the podium and seals it shut. At the end of the day, the verdict on topic 4 is this. There is no drama on the Indiana Fever. There is a team that is growing, winning games, and led by a player who is smart enough to call out the difference between journalism and noise. And I respect that enormously. Now let me take one more minute here before we get to the sign-off. Because there was one more moment in this press conference that I want to highlight, and it involves Sophie Cunningham talking about her journey, about where she came from, the players she came up with, the path she took to get to this point in her career. Because I think sometimes we watch these players perform and we forget the road they traveled to get there. Sophie talked about playing with Aaliyah Boston and other elite players coming up through USA basketball, and she talked about how cool it is to watch everyone's game develop and live out their dream. and she mentioned that her teammate now, Aaliyah Boston, who she called AB, was someone she played with early in her USA basketball career. That connection, that shared history, that mutual respect, that is the foundation of team chemistry. That is not something you manufacture. That is something that builds over years of competing together and watching each other grow. And for Caitlin Clark, who came in from Iowa, who played against Diamond DeShields when Diamond was at Maryland, to now be sharing a locker room with players who have that kind of deep-rooted competitive history with each other, that is a special thing. That is the kind of environment where a young franchise player can develop fast, because she is surrounded by people who have been in wars before and know what it takes to win. I want to give a quick shout out to the Connecticut Sun fans and the Connecticut basketball community because both Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham were asked about the Sun potentially not having a home in Connecticut going forward. And both of them were genuinely thoughtful and respectful about what this market means to women's basketball. Sophie said this area deserves a pro team. Caitlin said it is heartbreaking for the fans and for the area. And that kind of awareness, that understanding of what this sport means to communities beyond just the game itself, is something I appreciate seeing from players at this level. The New England basketball community is real. The support for women's basketball in that area is real. And I hope the league finds a way to make sure those fans have a team to root for. So that is going to do it for this video. But the bottom line is this. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are winning games, growing as a team, handling adversity on the court and off it. And the so-called drama narrative that keeps getting pushed around this team has been officially put to rest by the players themselves at the podium. We still have a full season ahead of us. More games to break down, more moments where Caitlin Clark is going to have to deal with bad calls and media noise and everything else that comes with being the most talked about player in the sport. And this channel is going to be here for every single one of those moments, so this is far from over. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the post notification bell on. That way every time I upload a new video covering Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, you guys will see it first. Also hype this video so that YouTube can push it out further to more Fever fans, more WNBA fans, and of course all the Caitlin Clark fans who need to see this content. We give you guys as much information as possible, along with the receipts to go with it. Straight from the source, straight from the press conference, no speculation, no bots, no social media noise, just the real story. Until next time, rim run out. Peace. Vertical bar clip slot, vertical bar file, vertical bar timestamp, vertical bar duration, vertical bar topic, vertical bar Berdordi, vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar, clip 1, vertical bar Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham after Fever beats Sun. MP4 vertical bar 0 hours 0 minutes and 42 seconds, 0 hours 1 minute and 22 seconds, vertical bar approximately 40 sec, vertical bar Sophie on energy/aggressor roll, vertical bar clip 2, vertical bar Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham after Fever beats Sun. MP4 vertical bar 0 hours 3 minutes and 45 seconds, 0 hours 4 minutes and 47 seconds, vertical bar approximately 62 sec, vertical bar Caitlin on Sun defensive film breakdown, vertical bar clip 3, vertical bar Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham after Fever beats Sun. MP4 vertical bar 0 hours 4 minutes and 53 seconds, 0 hours 5 minutes and 17 seconds, vertical bar approximately 24 sec, vertical bar Caitlin on technical foul/Tyler referee, vertical bar clip 4, vertical bar Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham after Fever beats Sun. MP4 vertical bar 0 hours 8 minutes and 3 seconds, 0 hours 9 minutes and 7 seconds, vertical bar approximately 64 sec, vertical bar Caitlin, shutting down drama/speculation narrative, vertical bar, *** editor note on clip 3, ***. The raw clip runs only about 24 seconds as a clean isolated segment. To hit the 30-second floor, extend the clip to include the question at 0 hours 4 minutes and 53 seconds through the answer ending at 0 hours 5 minutes and 17 seconds. The question and answer together clears 30 seconds cleanly without cutting mid-sentence. Alternatively, start at 0 hours 4 minutes and 47 seconds to include the transition from the film question.